And in today's video, I actually got something a little bit more different for you guys on the channel, and that is me doing a retro deck profile of a deck that I just brought to an online tournament held on Dueling Nexus. That was based around the May 2008 banlist during the GX era, and that is Hand Control. So yes, guys, this is the deck that I brought with me online when I was playing in the our GX era tournament, which again, like I mentioned, was set during the May 2008 ban list. So it's almost pre-Teledat format, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this is what I brought. I'm gonna go ahead and explain to you guys my deck choices, why I brought this, and all that fun stuff. But before we get into that, I do want to make a quick disclaimer for you guys. This was a super small tournament. There was not a lot of us playing in this tournament. There was only like about 10 of us, I guess, playing. So it's almost kind of like a local level tournament in a way. And my tournament results were not that good. This deck actually did not perform as well as I thought it would, and I actually was not able to make it to top cut. But I still feel like I should still show you my deck list regardless, just so you guys can get a feel for what I brought and why what I'm planning to change and all that stuff. So yeah, guys. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get to the deck. So yeah, this is Hand Control in 2008, and yes, I am fully aware this deck was not a thing during this era, because like I mentioned before, this was held pre-Teledat format. So, and I think during this time, Return, that was kind of like the top tier deck during this era. I could be wrong, and we were playing with a card pool from all the way down to Legend of Blue Eyes, all the way up to Light of Destruction. So Light Sworns and Gladiator Beasts were a thing too. But I did not really face any of those decks. I mostly was just facing burn strategies that kept just burning me for game with Stealth Bird multiple times. But again, that's beyond the point. That's going to be a topic for another day. But yeah, guys, this is just something I wanted to bring because I could not actually find a lot of deck profiles online that could that could show me any really cool control decks during this era. So this is just what I came up with, and I just kind of wanted to give it a more quote-unquote modern feel, even though this deck wasn't a thing since 2003 when, you know, confiscation, all the hand sniping cards got banned. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into that. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and explain all the cards here, what I'm gonna be changing, and all that stuff, because this is not gonna be the build that I'm gonna be keeping if I ever go into more tournaments like this in the future, which I will be, and I will be doing more deck profiles for you guys. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see that. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys have seen, this is our 40 card main deck, and no extra deck obviously. And the first card we're going to be talking about is one Dark Magician Chaos. Pre-errata, this card would be broken. And do keep in mind also, guys, this deck did not get to play with all the pre-errata effects of some of these cards, so I was stuck playing with, you know, their post-errata versions, which just make them a lot worse. But I still had fun using them regardless. So the first one here is Dark Magician Chaos. If this was pre-errata, this would be super broken. But since it wasn't, I didn't really get to play with it that much to the fullest extent, and I liked, but it was still fun nonetheless. And it's a spell recursion during the end phase still did come up a lot and did help me close out some games, but not as many as I'd like. Then next, one Destiny Hero Plasma. I honestly thought with the Gatekeeper engine, I would be able to get multiple monsters on the field to summon this out. Did not come out as often as I'd like, but you know, this definitely does seem like a good engine that I might consider playing in my future builds. I'm not too sure if this is gonna work out for me, because honestly during this tournament it didn't, so I am thinking of cutting this engine out. But having a one-sided skill chain for your opponent is still really strong regardless, and yeah, that's why I played it. Then one Dark Magician. I know this is a really weird choice, but I just really love Dark Magician, and I really wanted to have a way to get him out uh, as often as I could, and he did not come out as often as I'd like. But I just included him because I just like him that much. And then one Rise of the Storm Monarch. So this is the only Monarch that was limited during this time, or that was even hit during this time in general, even though all the others were at 3, which seems a bit odd to me. But regardless, this was really good for, bouncing problematic cards on the field, and it did really help out in some cases, but I did not get to see as often as I'd like. So yeah, there's that. Then one Mobius. This was just for back row removal because I needed more options to clear out back row. As you guys can probably tell, I did not really prepare for back row that much. I honestly thought I was going to be facing more monster heavy decks. Apparently that was not the case. I made the wrong judgment call here, and yeah, I probably should have sided in for more back row hate, but I didn't, unfortunately. So this was one of my very few outs to clearing my opponent's back row, since cards like heavy Harpy's Feather just were banned during this time. So yeah, this was okay. Did not perform as well as I'd like, and yeah, it was decent. Then the one Snipe Hunter, this was just super broken. This helped me break boards going second really well. Even though it was limited, I was still able to consistently see it in a lot of my games, and it was just that good. I really did enjoy it, and yeah, I am definitely gonna consider keeping this here in my future builds because it's dark. Yeah, it's not a hard once per turn, and being able to pop cards consistently is just really good as long as I have cards to discard. And then for one of my main win conditions of the deck, 3 Donzalug. So yeah, this was one of my main win conditions of the deck because, as you guys can see with this card, White Magical Hats, Spirit Reaper, and Robin Goblin, I did have the potential of ripping 4 cards out of my opponent's hand, and even a bit more if I had Trap Dust Shoot as well. But yeah, that did not come out as often as I'd like. But yeah, this was my win condition of the deck, and I wanted to have more ways to see him as quickly as I can. So yeah. And then the one Armageddon Knight. So he was here for dumping cards like Disc Commander to the grave, so I can get that free draw by resurrecting him. It was not as good as I thought, but it was decent for what it was worth. Then for my Gravekeeper engine, I'm playing 2 Gravekeeper Spy and 2 Gravekeeper Guard. So yeah, so the main combo here was having my opponent flip Spy and then go into this to have more bodies on board for my Monarchs. But that did not come up as often, and even if I drew the Gravekeeper's Guard, did not matter as much because it still was able to bounce problematic monsters on my opponent's field, so it was okay. I did not hate it so much, but it did suck a little bit when I drew it, but I digress. And then next for my other win con, 3 White Magical Hats. So yeah, this was my other way to be able to snipe cards on my opponent's hand, and it did come up a lot. It did help control the board very well, and I was not able to protect it as much as I would like, but yeah, it was okay. And then one Sangan, because he was limited at this time, and unfortunately I couldn't play with Witch. I really wish I could have, but and either way, this was okay. This was good for searching out cards like Donzalog or White Magical Hats, and sometimes even Spirit Reaper when I really need to stall until I can see more of my combo pieces. But yeah, I would have played multiples if I could, but I couldn't, so yeah. And then one Spirit Reaper, my other win con on the deck, and surprisingly a lot of these decks did have a lot of consistent outs to this card than I expected, but yeah, this was just one of my other ways to be able to snipe cards on my opponent's hand, and it did perform decently well. I just don't know if I would consider maining this or signing this in the future, but yeah, it was okay. And then the one Disc Commander. So sometimes when I do this was not that good, but I did have other ways to get it out of my hand to get that free draw for later, so it was okay. Did not come up as often as I like, but it was decent. And that is it for the monsters. For the spells, I was playing 2 Mage Power. this was one of my ways to be able to protect my win conditions of the deck, being Log and my magical haps, just to make them really big beaters on the board. That would be hard for my opponent to get over. And yeah, I just wanted to be able to have more ways to protect them as often as I could. So yeah. And then one Premature Burial. This was my, my other Monster Reborn in the deck, to be able to get this, get my win conditions back from the grave, or to even throw out cards like Dark Magician or Demok and then revive them back with something like this. It did come up a little bit, but not as often as I'd like, considering it was limited to one here. But yeah, it was okay. Then one MST, because I needed more back removal and I did not prepare for it as much as I thought I needed to. But yeah, this was decent. I was able to pop some cards that got in my way, but yeah, I can't really say much about it. Then the one Monster Reborn, because I needed more ways to have good extenders on the board. This did not close out as many games as I actually thought it would be. I actually thought this would be more of a blowout card than more of an extender, kind of like how I play with my new modern competitive decks now. But yeah, it still held the same purpose as it used to, being more of an extender going into the grind game. And yeah, it was okay. I definitely would consider keeping this in my main deck. Then one Upstart, just to make this a turn card deck and to have more draw power. The one Lightning Vortex, because Raigeki was banned here, and this was just the second best option I had for monster removal. And it does suck a little bit that it only hurts, that it only destroys face up monsters. I honestly wish it could just destroy all of them, but unfortunately it couldn't. And this did not help me as much as I thought, considering that most of my opponents had a lot of cards that they wanted to set most of their monsters first before going into their big plays. So yeah, this is okay. I definitely would consider bumping this maybe up to 2 in the future, but I'm not sure yet. Then the one Fisher, because I needed more ways to have good monster removal, and I honestly wish this was just a Noble Man of Crossout or something else, because this did not perform as well as I'd like. But this was good for some monster removal and some big monsters that I had trouble outing, and yeah, it was decent. Then the 2 Rhoda, because this is almost like having 5 copies of Donzelug in my deck, because he's a warrior, so I wanted more consistent ways to be able to see him during my first and opening turn. So yeah, that's why I kept that at 2, because it was semi-limited and I did enjoy that. And then lastly, for the spells, 2 Allure Darkness, because as you guys can tell, I am running a few dark monsters here. I honestly wish I could have paired this with a Return from a Different Dimension to be able to get back the cards I banished, but that did not really come up as often as I actually thought it would during my playtesting. So I decided not to really keep that combo going, and I just decided to just keep it like this, because I didn't really mind banishing some cards from my hand to get that extra draw. And that is it, guys, for the spells. Now we'll go into the traps, and for the traps here, this is my other win con on the deck, 3 Robin Goblins. So every time my monsters inflict battle damage to my opponent, they randomly discard 1 card. This was really good for controlling the tempo of their hand, and hurt them really bad in the grind game. And sometimes this actually helped me go into games 2 and 3 really well, and it did perform really well. And I definitely would not consider cutting this out of my deck, since this is my win con. Then the one Trap Death Shoot, because it synergizes really well with the rest of the deck, being that, I'm just focused on ripping cards out of my opponent's hand. So this worked really well when they were going second. And yeah, it did help me get more information on their hand and see what place they may have going into their turn. Then the one Torrential Tribute, not sure if I want to keep maining this in the future, but it was okay for what it was worth. I did not get to resolve this as often as I like, being the fact that most of my opponents wipe my back row before I can even resolve this, but it was okay. I might consider signing this in the future, and maybe focusing more on back row removal than monster removal, but yeah, it was okay. Then the one Mirror Force, because I needed more ways to wipe out my opponent's problematic monsters, and yeah, this was just a blowout. Some people have played around this really well, others didn't, so yeah, this was okay. And then one compulsory evacuation device, because I needed more ways to bounce monsters on my opponent's field and get rid of them quickly, especially if they go into something like a monarch or something. So this was okay, I did like it, and I might consider signing this in the future, I'm not sure, but yeah, it performed fairly well for me. Then lastly, for my deck, one trap hole. This did not come up as often as I thought. I really thought it would actually be a big blowout for some decks that enjoy normal summoning monsters, but this did not come up as often as I like. I honestly wish this would have been just a bottomless trap hole or something else, but yeah, it was decent, I guess. But I'm definitely consider cutting this out and putting maybe a bottomless trap hole or something else. I'm not sure yet. And that's it, guys, for the main deck. Now we'll go into the side deck. So for the side deck, I got one DD Assailant and one DD Warrior Lady. This paired up really well for getting rid of more big monsters on the field, and the fact that they banished the monsters helped out really well, so they didn't have any synergy in their grave to get them back for later on during their grind game, so they were really good. And for my cute tech card of the deck, 2 Exile Force. This did not come up as often as I like, and the fact that this has to eat my normal summon to be able to pop a monster did not really come up as often, and I decided not to really main this at all during going into games 2 and 3. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to consider playing this in the future. Then the one Night Assailant, because I needed more ways to destroy monsters, and you guys can tell I was mainly focused on removing a lot of my opponent's big monsters as much as I could, and I don't know why I cited this. I probably should have made this, but yeah, that's why it's here. Then to DD Crow, I did not have that many cards in my opponent's grave that I really wanted to snipe out of their grave to further hurt their grind game, but it was okay, and I definitely would not consider playing this in my side deck in the future. So yeah, that's the main reason why I kept this. And then one Book of Moon, because I needed more ways to deal with monsters like Jinzo or something that would stop my win conditions from going through, like with Robin Goblin. So yeah, this was just one of my ways. I know this was at 2, but I decided to just keep this at 1 because I did not really think of this coming up as often. So yeah, that's why I kept it here. And then one Heavy Storm and one Giant Trunade, because I didn't really expect to face a lot of back row, which I ended up doing, and I kind of regret putting this here. And I did use this a lot going into games 2 and 3, but yeah, it just did not work well here in the side. I honestly wish I could have just mained this, but yeah, that's just how it performed. And then for their traps, 2 Solemn Judgment, because I needed more ways to deal with really big cards that I had no other specific outs to, and I only decided to keep 2 because I didn't want to hurt myself going to the grind game, because unlike in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, life points here are a little bit more important to me, so I didn't really want to hurt myself too much by pushing down my life points really low and then just having my opponent OGK me. So yeah, that's why I only kept this at 2. And then lastly, to wrap up the side deck, 3 Ordeal Arbor Traveler. I was kind of happy that I kept this in my main deck, because this was such a blowout for some decks, and my opponents really love testing their luck with me when they played this, and they all just, yeah, this resolved really well. It just kept bouncing monsters back and forth multiple times, and I did really enjoy it. And yeah, this was a really good blowout, and this was just for more stalling and for more ways to protect you know, White Magic had, Donsalog, and all my other win conditions. But either way, guys, that is it. That's gonna be my deck profile for hand control in 2008 for the GX tournament that I joined. And yeah, guys, I definitely would recommend you guys giving this a try. There are so many things I would like to change with this deck, and I definitely will do that in my future builds and you guys will be updated on what they will look like moving forward. But yeah, this tournament was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy having a lot of back and forth, unlike how I play in modern Yu-Gi-Oh now in the competitive scene. But I digress. This was super exciting. This was very nostalgic for me because I have not been able to play in a tournament like this in quite some time, and it was super again, it was like super nostalgic, super exciting, a lot of fun, and I definitely would recommend trying this out, guys, if you guys are more into retro deck duels. But yeah, either way, guys, that's gonna be it for my deck profile for Hand Control 2008. Don't forget this video. I'm sorry. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and thumbs down if you didn't, and definitely share it for your friends who are into this kind of nostalgic retro deck profiles just like these. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the deck. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you change in the deck? What would you bring? How do you think this deck would fare during this kind of era? I definitely would love to hear your thoughts and get a discussion going here in the comment section below. And if you guys do enjoy my content and do want to see more videos like this in the future, definitely subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you guys don't miss out anytime I upload videos. And that is going to be it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Santa 45 signing off.